All right, very good. We do with social advisor with myself, I should say, we do a monthly webinar series, and our guest this month, Abbie Sheridan, Greenrose Communications, and I invited Abbie very specifically because as a fractional chief marketing officer, we rely heavily on partners in the industry. And so we really, on these webinars, want to showcase some of those partners that we use. And Abbie, welcome you, the work you do, especially what I know most intimately is with Pete. And the work that you guys do together is amazing, right? So I'm so excited for you to be here. Before we dive in, I want to actually share my screen and just explain our role as a fractional CMO, and then we'll have a deep conversation about PR and the impact on advisors' growth and even more specifically credibility. Here's what I want to share with you, and a lot of you have probably seen this before. You can see that the Kitsis map here. Abbie, is that what I'm showing? Just to be
Yep.
sure. All
Yep.
right, cool. Look at this, you guys. This is crazy. I don't know if you've seen this before. I kind of think it's widely so this came out January 2026. Now, what's going on here is Michael Kitces puts together a map of vendors for RIAs. This map 5 years ago was half this size, maybe smaller.
Yeah.
Right. Now, we're lucky enough, it's small, but we're lucky enough to be on here twice, right? Under social media marketing, content marketing. At some point, Michael recognized as a fractional. Here's what's ridiculous about this. I'm 13 years in business with social advisors. This is our first year on the map, right? So it's taken that amount of
Yeah.
time for Michael to recognize our business in these categories. So imagine the businesses that have been out there 5, 6, 7 years serving financial services that aren't even on this thing.
Yeah.
And with I can confidently say I see new vendors, like 2, 3 new vendors a week, right? It's so easy to prop up a business, come to a financial services is an attractive market. It's an affluent market. It's well organized. So marketers and others within the other categories enter financial services all the time. And so one of the things that we bring to the table as a fractional CMO is vetting a lot of vendors on this list and others that are not on this list just yet that are working to be here. That's a big part of our role. So that's what leads us to these
Mm.
webinars every month is just to highlight the people who are highly credible in what they do, have history and knowledge of our industry. I've witnessed their work. We've worked together in a lot of cases. And so, Abbie, really it's pulling from those things that brings us together today. And I am super excited to talk about not Greenrose Communications, of course. I want to plug your business as well, but also just in a general sense, the role of PR in building awareness around financial services firms, around RIAs. I say this a lot, so a lot of you may have heard me say this before. Financial services is the fourth least trusted industry in the US. Not great company, number one. If you're curious, number one is elected officials. Number two is car sales. Number three is advertisers. And I think the ability for PR to create credibility for a financial practice or a financial business is incredible when we see brands in magazines like Forbes, right? And the Wall Street Journal. And I've seen some of Pete's quotes that you've accomplished for him. And so anyway, there's a huge role for PR in our industry. And Abbie, I'm super stoked to highlight Greenrose and more than that, you, because you're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And also, congratulations to you guys for being on the Kitsis map. Not
We
once,
did,
but twice.
but twice, right? Yeah. Now we got
That
to get
is
us
quite a feat.
categorized. Yeah,
Yeah.
got to get us categorized into fractional now at this point. But yeah, thank you. So very cool. So Abbie, let's start with that conversation about credibility.
Yeah.
Why do you think financial services suffers trust issues so much?
Yeah, it's a branding challenge. I think there's a lot of bad actors out there that have made it really hard for the good guys. I think a lot of people in our country, I think I read a stat recently, like out of four people don't have an advisor. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but there's a lot of people that don't have advisors. So a lot of people don't even understand the value that they bring and they think it's only for wealthy people. So I think there's just a lot of misconceptions
Yeah,
out there. But the good news is PR can help that.
absolutely.
Because when you're quoted in an article, like you mentioned, Forbes or Bloomberg or Wall Street Journal, that gives you that instant credibility, that instant recognition that, oh, I can trust them because they were quoted by a reputable media outlet.
Yeah, it's almost like pre-vetting.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't have to do as much research because you trust that third party outlet.
Yeah, I think an earned media like that, right? I know certainly you can pay for placement in some cases, but when it comes to earned media, certainly everybody's got a social presence at this point, right? Maybe not everybody, but
Mm.
it's table stakes now. 10 years ago was you were a differentiator with doing that.
Yeah.
The advisor or their marketing company controls that messaging, controls that exposure. Whereas that quote in the Wall Street Journal, that's earned media, and I think it's got, well, I don't think it's got an exponentially greater impact on the view of that particular person, of that particular advisor.
Yeah, absolutely. But like you mentioned, you don't have as much control over that because you don't know what the Wall Street Journal is going to print or say from your conversation. So it is a little bit, it's a little scary too to start dip your toe into that if you haven't done it before.
Yeah, I remember a conversation we had between with you and Pete where Pete had to say some controversial things,
He
right?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how much of that is getting that earned media? How much of that is,
Yeah.
we're all in a competitive marketplace, right? There's by guesstimate 400, 450,000 practicing advisors in this country across,
Yeah.
wirehouse, independent broker dealer, RIAs. What does it take to earn that media? Let's talk about that. How do you stand out to get that?
Yeah, so we are big believers in being yourself. We never want to make anyone feel comfortable or say anything that they're not comfortable with. And I think Pete is a really great example of someone who he was working, he had his own firm at the time, he's since been acquired, but he was able to say things that other advisors may not be able to say because they were reporting to a bigger brand or a boss. So we always work with our clients to make sure that whatever you're putting out there, that you're comfortable with it and your boss is comfortable with it and it aligns with your brand. But anytime you can say something that is a little bit more controversial, reporters love that. We love that because that just helps get you quoted in places that you wouldn't normally be quoted. Because if you think about it, so many people are saying, stay the course, those kind of key phrases. And so when everyone's saying the same thing, reporters get tired of it. They're looking for something that's new and interesting that they can quote to make headlines, make clickbait, get their quotes and articles to get a ton of traffic.
Yeah, that the viral effect we're all looking for, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
stand out, be different. So I've got a bunch of questions for you, and I'm sure we'll just get into some conversation along these. But
sure.
when you look at a firm, what makes somebody PR worthy?
Oh, such a good question. Uh, So there are a couple of things that we look for. Sometimes I don't necessarily meet someone right away and say, oh, they're going to, sometimes it happens. Some people have the magic quality where they're going to be an instant star. And some people need a little bit more coaching, and that's okay. We worked with lots of advisors who have never done PR before, and we help guide them through the process and get them to be more comfortable. But I think the biggest thing is that you're open to being coached, you're open to feedback, and that you're open to making the investment in this process because it is a partnership. And anytime we work with a new firm, we let them know it's not just like you're handing the keys over to us. It is a partnership and we need your time, we need your insights. Yes, we need interesting insights, but we will help coach you and get you there and give you the feedback to hopefully get to a place where we can get some more interesting insights instead of just stay the course.
I've had advisors over the years that engage us for potentially working together. And one of the kind of red flags that would actually prevent us from working with an advisor group right now, and I'll use a quote because I've heard it a bunch of times, is
Yeah,
I'm just looking for the easy button. So you're talking about this is not only an investment, it's there's financial investment, but also there's an investment of time, which is so true with marketing as
yeah,
well. We can't represent an advisor unless they're involved in the
yeah.
process. What in what you do in finding that earned media, what's the advisor's investment in that, right? What is their time investment? What in engaging you, or even if they're if they're doing it on their own or they've got
Yeah.
a cousin in PR or whatever that is. Because,
Yeah.
yeah, what does that look like? So if they're thinking about, okay, PR is part of an overall marketing or market strategy, what does that look like so that they've got an idea?
Yeah, I know this is a non-answer, but it really does depend. What you put into it is what you'll get out of it. So we have some clients where we work with them a handful of hours a month, and they definitely see results. They're getting coverage, but they're not getting as much coverage as if we were working for them double or triple that amount of time. But obviously, for budget reasons or time reasons, they just aren't able to make that commitment at that time. If it feels like it's a scary time commitment that you don't think you have a ton of time to offer, we can definitely help with that. We try to make the process as easy as possible. For some clients, we just need a couple of hours a month of your time for interviews with reporters, or we hop on a call and get your insights and draft articles for you. So it can be as simple as that. But obviously, if a reporter comes calling and needs something really quickly because everything is deadline driven for them, and sometimes they need something back in 2 or 3 hours, if we don't get to them by their deadline, chances are they've already moved on to the
Right.
next advisor. So there is that caveat, I will say. Of course, not everyone's going to be available every time for everything, but the more you make the effort to, make time and meet deadlines, then it will come back tenfold.
Yeah, and I think that's an important. I think there's some mystery around what does a PR engagement look like?
Yeah.
One of the great values I know that you bring to the table is the media relationships. Is that if a reporter needs a soundbite from an advisor, they know that you're on their short list of who they can call
Yeah.
to get that soundbite where an individual advisor is going to struggle to create those relationships. Maybe they can do it within their immediate market, especially if that's a smaller market.
Yeah.
But that's the big benefit of working with Greenrose Communications is those existing media relationships. Beyond that, expertise in messaging.
Yeah.
What are the other highlights of when an advisor engages Greenrose? What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So positioning, we also support with conferences and awards. So a lot of our clients are speaking at the top industry conferences. They're winning awards that we help draft for them. Like I mentioned, we're writing content. I know you do that as well, placing content and strategy, Alan.
Yeah, Alan, we're going to get a few more of those from Alan. So for everybody, because that just came to me and Abbie, Alan says his sound bites would be more like great white shark bites.
I want to talk to you, Alan. You sound
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, he is. I can share he is. Yeah,
What was I saying? Oh yeah, so every kind of PR engagement is unique, and what we really first try to understand is when you come to us, is what are your goals? What are you looking to achieve with PR? Because we can't, if you have a small budget, we won't be able to help you with everything, but what will be the most impactful things for you? So some clients really want to drill down on industry conferences and speaking at them, and awards, and other conferences really want top tier media placements. And we also help with strategy. Once you get a media placement, what is it that you're doing with it? How are you using it to fuel your marketing efforts? Because great, you have a media placement, but then that's where you come in with social advisors, is helping the advisors then use that piece of content to
that's
generate leads as well. So we
yeah.
provide those ideas, and your team can help execute on them.
Yeah, I tell you, and this is part of that engagement that we talk about is advisors who want the easy button. The reason that's a non-starter for in most cases is because, if we can't get to the essence of who they are, or partnering with someone like you who is generating basically content worthy awards or sound bites or whatever it is, then we end up talking about the same thing every advisor's talking about.
Yeah.
It does work really well in combination for those advisors that engage in both PR when we can highlight like the difference between LinkedIn's a great platform for most of our advisors for content marketing. The difference between, here's your end of year tax tips, which any generic content company is
Yeah.
putting out on behalf of advisors. And we just won this industry award. Or one of our clients is, again, for the 14th year in a row, has won the 5-star. award, which is, I think, given to 6% of advisors or something like that. That's a huge thing for us to talk about for the next, a huge credibility piece for the next 30 or 45 days, instead of your mid-year financial checkup,
Yeah.
which is fine. It creates brand awareness and it gets some exposure, but it's those awards and sound bites that really drive that viral effect of content marketing.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Let's talk about niche a little bit.
Yeah.
Niche, however you want to pronounce it. I'm going to get corrected by somebody no matter how I say it. How, if an, and we're always encouraging advisors to be a large fish in a small pond. Let's get narrow, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to work with business owners. I want to work with business owners in these two or three industries
Yeah.
that have $5 million to $10 million in revenue or more. I want to get as narrow as possible. And the reason I tell them that's so important, and I want to comment on this and expand on it, is because each niche that you're in is going to have associations. They're going to have publications.
Yeah.
We want to leverage where we can OPN, other people's networks. And that's a book just happens to be sitting next to me. I borrowed that from a guy named Tom Poland, who is a marketer that I follow. And this one is a webinar book, but it just happened to be sitting next to me. So I grab it. So OPN is a Tom Poland thing, other people's networks. If we get narrow in a niche, it's really easy for us to identify other people's networks. And why that's so important goes back to the first thing we talked about was the trust issues. If you're working with manufacturers in a certain area, maybe that's your niche, there's a manufacturers association. Some of those manufacturers have been buying into that association for 20 years.
Yeah.
You working into their network, the trust that they've built for that association is going to transfer directly to you. Talk about niche marketing and niche PR, how it affects your world.
I love when a client comes in with a niche and then more niche, the better. So I'll give an example. We work with an advisor who specializes in helping aging population families and their elderly family members bridge the gap between healthcare and finance. So we have made so much progress with him in getting him in touch of not only top tier financial journalists, but also there's sites like seniorliving.org and other very hyper targeted senior living sites that we'll be honest, it's not as sexy as a Wall Street Journal. However, it is incredibly impactful. And because he has this super hyper niche, reporters know that he's the expert on this and they come to me to talk to him because there's not many other people out there who
Yeah.
can speak to that specific topic. So we've been incredibly successful with him, and we have a couple of other really niche advisors as well that it just makes it so much easier to pitch them as the experts in their field.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think for advisors who still see themselves as generalists, I think you're missing a lot of opportunity. And I understand
Yeah.
why that is. Like when we engage with an advisor or an advisory group and we say, hey, let's figure out who our audience is so that we can align our messaging with them specifically, there's always a hesitation, right? There's always, not everybody I work with fits that. So I can understand the hesitation, but for those of you who have joined us today, and it's a pretty good audience, Abbie, nice work.
Yeah.
For those who have joined us today, really honestly, get narrow. You can do that without alienating an existing client base, but when you get narrow, you better understand pain points, right? Your messaging is built specifically for an audience where all of your energy is going towards this one audience instead of saturating your energy across,
Yeah.
multiple verticals, and that's tough to do. So that would be my recommendation for everybody. And
Agree.
yeah, great for PR, great for content marketing, great for digital advertising, all the things that we pull in
Yeah.
as well.
What
So
is it when you're speaking to everybody, you're actually speaking to nobody? Is that the
I think I've
phrase?
heard that before. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We say big fish, small pond instead of a small
Yeah.
fish or average size fish in a big pond, right?
Yeah.
Katya's got a question for us. If we'd like to start getting published, is it better to contact a PR firm? I know what your answer is going to be, by the way, versus writing an article in-house and submitting for publication.
Yeah, so you know what my answer is going to be, but I'm going to give a rationale behind
Yep.
it. We know what these publications are looking for when it comes to articles. We're able to provide guidance on what the word count is, the type of audience you should be writing to, Do they spell advisor with an E or an O? Are they looking for actionable insights? Who's the editor and how quickly can we get in front of them? What's their publishing timeline? So all of these things, what's their editing process? Do we get to review it when they make their edits before submitting to compliance, or does it just go out there? So all of these things we have the insight into, and we're able to help you place them, give you that guidance. If an outlet says no, then we're able to find another home for it, and again, give you the suggestions on what to do with it afterwards. And Katya, I'd love to help chat with you, see where we can maybe fit in to get you guys some of your articles published.
Yeah, I'll share my experience, Katya. Before working with Abbie in any capacity, we've had some success, but it wasn't great success in helping advisory firms get in local media, right? Thinking local's easier than that the Wall Street Journal or Forbes or a large business publication. I wouldn't call it successful, right? And so what we would do is our first step is identify the media. Right. And so that's a big piece of what your first step is identify the media. And then it's identify who's the contact at this media. And then it's identify what do they even need? What do they need content for? Now everybody needs content, but what do they need content for? What do they have upcoming? So there's a lot of guesswork that you're doing as someone who doesn't necessarily have that inside knowledge. And working with Abbie Abbie's got all that inside knowledge already. Right. And so we've run some attempts, it's been a couple of years, but we run some attempts at engaging local media, whether it be local podcast, local radio, local television, local print. It is tough. It is a long building relationship process where essentially when you buy into a PR firm like Greenrose Communications, you're buying those relationships. You're buying what Abbie already knows what they're looking for. And when there's opportunities, they're reaching out to her versus you having to time it just right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's,
I will also say, I'm so glad you brought up local media. Local media is so hard. We
it,
have a client who is celebrating a big milestone and they wanted to get some local coverage on the milestone. And so we had a discussion around this is a huge milestone for you guys, but this is not newsworthy for local press. But here's what we can do instead to start to get some interest from them. But their local press is very news driven. They have shrinking newsrooms. So things have to be super hyper relevant to their market. And we've had some good traction and success with some of our advisors in local markets, but it takes a while. It takes a lot of constant dripping out press releases and touch bases and things like that to start to see that come to fruition.
it does. It is a struggle I can share with you. And we've got a strong marketing background, but not necessarily a strong PR
Yeah.
background. And Katya, we struggled with it. Really, honestly, we were not, we found little bits of success, right? Getting on a podcast that might have had 45 downloads locally. I don't know. That's an hour investment for 45 people who we don't even know who they were that listened to that podcast. Right. So it wasn't great reach. And we've had a couple of articles published in Association Magazine, which is great. That's success for me. But when it's an outreach to media outlets, we struggled with it, which is why we found good partners instead of trying to if we don't do it well, let's find somebody that does
Yeah.
is our philosophy behind it. So
And to your point about spending an hour getting on that podcast, that's also what we look at. Is the juice really worth the squeeze of this opportunity? Is this going to work towards meeting your goals, your business goals and your communications goals, or is it really not worth it? And so we are always evaluating our opportunities and sharing our rationale as to why or why not may not be a good fit.
yeah, and not being experts in that space, Abbie, we were taking whatever we could find for
Yeah.
them. And yeah, my recommendation is go to the expert. The learning curve is steep and a bit of a struggle. Let's talk about it, Abbie. PR is a long game, right? We talked about it a little bit with local media.
Yeah.
I see it very much. This goes back to our bit about content marketing and lead development. I see it very much as the first step in a lot of what we do. Right. So if we've got some PR that's worthy of that content marketing broadcast or that email marketing broadcast, we can turn that into a content marketing machine that can then produce
Hmm.
some leads and referrals at times and key introductions. That first step, like how long should someone expect to be really engaged in a PR process before they can see that it's making a difference in the business?
I'm gonna say it depends how interesting you are. What are you saying that's getting the reporter's attention? But
Yeah.
we typically tell new clients because of our relationships, you will see opportunities pretty immediately. But if it's something, if you're coming to us for some local coverage in a area where we don't necessarily have existing relationships,
Yeah.
that will obviously take longer. We usually tell clients it can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months to start to see traction. And then usually around 8 to 12 months, you start to see something interesting happening, assuming you have pedal to the metal and you are going on all cylinders, then you start to see it flip and you start to see reporters come to you as opposed to us having to push you out there. And that is simply because the PR machine is working. You are being quoted in all the right places. Reporters are taking notice and they want to talk to you because they've seen you quoted on in a similar article about a similar topic. So that's why it's so important to just keep the momentum going and respond to reporters, meet their deadlines, build those relationships. But in the beginning, it may take some time because reporters really need to learn who you are, why this is a good source, and why they should talk to you. So in the beginning, we advise our clients it will be a lot of relationship building. It may not necessarily result in coverage, although we have, I would say, 95% success rate in terms of connecting journalists with with advisors and then seeing that published. Things happen, things get cut, editors need to save space, but the success rate is really high. And again, because of our relationships, you should start to see results pretty immediately.
Yeah. Very cool. Let's learn more about Greenrose specifically. So what if an advisor's all right, let me dip my toe in PR. They engage you. What's the minimum that you'd work with somebody? I want to talk dollars and cents a little bit too, so somebody knows
Yeah.
what this is. We talked about time investment, but what is it? What is it for financial investment? So walk me down that kind of beginning the client journey.
Yeah, I think there's a perception that PR is something that small firms cannot afford. And it's it's not in wrong perception because a lot of agencies out there charge minimum $10,000 a month to engage, and that's just not feasible for a lot of smaller firms. When I started the firm 5 years ago, I really wanted to elevate voices that we're not hearing from every day. So women, people of color, smaller firms that maybe have really interesting stories to tell, but weren't able to afford an agency. We have different ways that we work with clients depending on what they're looking for, what their budget is. And our monthly retainers start at 7,500 and go up depending on scope and what you're looking for. But then we also can work with you on a project basis or an hourly basis. If we work with you on an hourly basis, you'll just tell us what your budget is, what you're looking to spend, and then we can back into a scope from there. If you have someone on your team who's able to create content, then that means we just need to edit it and then pitch it and place it. That takes us a lot less time than writing the content ourselves. So every engagement is super custom, depending on what you're looking for, how much support you need. And then we can also work with you on a project basis as well. So if you have something that you're looking to announce, as projects are perfect for press releases. We've done a lot of advisor launches. We support you with that process from start to finish, writing the press release, pitching it out, media training, and facilitating interviews. Yeah, super flexible. You also don't have to commit. A lot of agencies want to see a 12-month commitment. Honestly, if you're not happy with our work, then I don't want to hold anybody hostage. I have a 6-year-old at home, so I already have a lot of tantrums at home, so I don't need to deal with that at work. So really no commitment, although most of our clients have been with us for 5+ years. A lot of them have been with us for from 8+ years. And we are super focused on delivering results. And if we can't do something, we will be completely honest with you about it and find you somebody who can help.
Yeah. I will say that in my experience in working with you in any capacity, it is that flexibility that's so attractive. Most of my clients aren't looking to spend $7,500 on a
Yeah.
retainer, but they just received this award and they want to create more press for that award. Or so that has been that's so that's a cool feature that we've experienced with Greenrose. So that's awesome. So what? Let's talk about advisor story. Like, how do you sit down, you talk to an advisor, and you go, I don't think PR is right for you,
Yeah.
or you're super excited to work with somebody. What's that difference, right? Like, what does that feel like when you have that first conversation?
Yeah. It's funny because all of our clients I've had obviously that positive vibe with, but someone I spoke to recently, it was funny because is my camera fuzzy?
Yeah, it's like it did get a little bit blurry for some reason. I don't
Okay.
know.
All right. Well, I'm not drinking, but
If you move,
soon.
if you, Abby is, if you move a little closer, maybe I think it's great. There you
Okay.
go. Yeah,
Okay.
that.
I think there was someone I spoke to recently who had mentioned he had a limited budget and he wanted to make his firm a household name. And for me, that was a little bit of alarm bells ringing because if you have a limited budget to make your brand a household name, that doesn't really seem feasible. For me, it's mostly people who even if you don't understand how the process works, you're willing to understand and open to guidance on how the process works. And you're open to feedback in terms of if I say, this isn't interesting, how about X, Y, or Z? Or how about if we look at it from this angle? But really, what's so important when you're looking for a PR partner, just like when you're looking for a marketing partner or any other kind of partner, is there a good vibe? Right? Can I work with this person? Do I want to talk to this person on a daily or weekly basis? Because, like I mentioned, it's a partnership. And so, if you don't like the person and if you don't feel like you could trust them, then you want to walk away from that right away. But all of our clients, when I first talked to them, I knew they're good people. I want to work with them. They're authentic. We haven't talked about that yet, but the authenticity, I think, is super important because if I'm not believing what you're saying, then nobody's believing what you're
It's going
saying.
to.
And
Yeah.
I can't coach you into being authentic. I can coach you into, oh, let's shorten that or trim that or add this, but I can't coach you to be authentic. And I think when you're authentic, when you're yourself, that's when it really starts to resonate. We had a client who talked to us when she was launching her own firm and she wasn't sure how to present herself. And she'd always had bosses telling her what to say and how to say it. And I said, I gave her the permission to just be herself. Lean into it, be yourself. And she really appreciated that feedback. And that's when she became the most comfortable. And you could tell she was actually having fun with it, probably for the first time. So just be yourself and then magic will happen.
Yeah, so we got a Q&A. Oh, nope, I had a notification pop up. Oh, we do have a Q&A here. Would we coordinate a work like, okay, so Alan's asking, would the two of us coordinate work like PR projects and ongoing content creation to ensure a consistent voice is coming from the client? Alan, that's an awesome question. And absolutely. It is one of the reasons that we want to, as a firm, select partners that we can work with consistently. And so Greenrose in that channel, by all means, I think it's really important that your PR company and your marketing company are on the exact same page with, like I said, PR for us a lot of times, even if it's the 5-star award, which is a pretty top 6%, but it's a pretty common award. We need, as a marketing company, we need messaging. Right. We need to be able to broadcast something because, like I said, the run-of-the-mill kind of content that you see out there that comes out of a lot of the canned content companies, they get zero exposure. If you're sounding like everybody else, it probably hurts you. I think there gets to a
Yeah.
point where if you're like everybody else, maybe it's actually dinging you a little bit. And so, yeah, I think the marketing and the PR work hand in hand to convey Yeah.
Yeah, and I also appreciate that question because from our perspective, we don't need to recreate the wheel when it comes to content or sound bites or talking points. If Charlie and his team are already creating content for you, then we can take that content and repurpose it and pitch it out to press. So that makes our job that much easier. Having content is honestly interesting content is half of the battle. Oh, I got a thumbs up. That's fun. So yeah, so we love working with our clients' marketing teams. We love working with Charlie. It's again magical when that happens.
Yeah, that's cool. I want to talk a little bit about authenticity because it brings us full circle, Abby. Obviously, our world has changed dramatically with, I think, ChatGPT launched November 22. We were already working into workflows internally by January, February 23. Now, we were ahead of the curve for a little while. Now we're just part of the
Yeah.
curve. And there is so much AI generated content that has nothing to do with the advisor voice that is running over, that is really just populating our social platforms and our email marketing. And that's going to continue to increase. So
Yeah.
the authentic voice is so important in this process. Even I can sniff AI out in a second.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at it, right? And I think a lot of people are. Whether it's whether it's a commercial came on TV last night, both my wife and I looked at each other and was like, that's an AI commercial, right? And you can do that with articles. You can do that with social posts. You can do that with video, even
Yeah.
Descript. Descript is a very inexpensive video platform, right? At 25 bucks a month or something like that. Abby, I created an avatar that now it's not 100%, but it's pretty good. And all I had to do was upload a couple of photos of myself.
Oh,
And
but what are they using those photos for?
to create, so I
No, are they using them elsewhere on the dark web?
I don't know. I can't imagine. There's plenty of me. There's plenty of photos of me out there. So I guess I gave that paranoia away a long time. But no, but in this case, it's just creating a video avatar. Now, I can't use it. It's not authentic, but as a person staying on top of these marketing tools, I had to see
Yeah.
what it was like. And it
Yeah.
was a little awkward. It was a little off, but it was 90% of the way there.
Yeah.
And that was a $25 a month platform, right? That's a cheap platform.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're spending more, you get better technology. And I know that scares a lot of people. Certainly, from a marketing perspective, we lean into it because it creates more efficiencies in our life. But you have to be able to do it in a way that's not losing the authenticity behind the voice,
Yeah.
which is so absolutely key.
And I'm so glad you brought that up too, because reporters are so sensitive to getting AI generated content. They don't want to hear from an AI bot. They
Yep.
want to hear from you. And that goes back to what we were talking about, saying something that's different, not saying what everyone else is saying. So part of our process is we run everything through our AI checkers before we submit anything
Awesome.
to reporters, because that could result, if we submit something that's AI drafted, we could be blacklisted.
Yeah,
So we're super careful about that. We're also working on a AI guide for our clients to educate them on what they can use AI for and what they can't use AI for, because there's a lot of gray right now.
there sure is. Yeah, the industry treats it that way too. So yeah, that comes back to authenticity, which comes back to trust, which is how we
Yeah.
started this conversation.
Full
Marie,
circle.
yeah, Marisha, I hope I'm pronouncing your name all right.
Marisha. Hi, Marisha.
Marisha.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Would you recommend media training for your clients? And then there's some follow-up questions, but let's start with that, Abby. Media
Yeah.
training.
Thank you for bringing that up because we didn't talk about media training. It's so important. Before we connect any of our clients with the press, we do a media training session. Sometimes we also do mock Q&A just to help clients get a little bit more comfortable, where we act as a reporter and interview them and give them feedback and pointers on their answers. But a lot of times our clients have never talked to the press before, so they don't even know what to expect. So we walk them through that process of, what does this look like? What are things that I can ask? What should I not say? What do I need to be aware of? So we absolutely believe in media training. It's critical. And then we also provide continuous feedback. So we're listening in on the interviews. We provide feedback to our clients after the interview. How did it go? What can we do better? Where can we improve? Yeah, I think that answered your first question.
Yeah, and then how do you go about that media training in a cost-effective
Yeah.
way? You guys obviously provide a lot of that with your engagements, but
Yeah.
let's say someone's not engaged with Greenrose. What are your recommendations if they
You should engage right away. Call
Of
call
course.
me. No, we can put together a custom package for an hourly engagement where we can do some media training. But
Yeah.
I firmly believe that we don't put anyone in front of reporters before media training them. So it's
Awesome.
one of our non-negotiables that this is something that has to happen because at the end of the day, it's our relationships on the line, and we want to make sure that you're feeling prepared and comfortable.
Yeah, very cool. And nope, that was Alan's. Oh, okay. So Alan's got another question. It's just a big question. Is it at all efficient to develop some preliminary content with AI before putting you on it? Or would it be faster to understand my intent and authentic voice? Alan, I think that AI is an awesome tool. And I would say in the ideation stage, AI is essential for what we do. It really is. We represent some clients for 6, 7, 8 years that how are we going to say a similar thing but package it in a different way? And it's really effective in that respect. It also is really effective. Let's say LinkedIn has an algorithm change, and they do it all the time where we can have a client where we're sailing as far as exposure for the content that we create. And then all of a sudden it just has a downturn and maybe that exposure goes to 50%. And so we'll use it to explore a whole bunch of web resources to figure out, all right, what's happened with the algorithm, and then how do we have to adapt to that? Right. So we use it in those ways. We write some content with it, but to your point, it's an origination, it's not a final. Right. So we make sure that we adapt that so it fits our voice if we're doing it internally, fits an advisor's voice if we're doing it externally. So great question.
I also really I like AI for ideating, so just brainstorming. But Alan, you and I have to talk. I want to hear your authentic voice.
I know Alan's authentic voice, and you guys are going to have a good time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good dude for sure. Beware. Yes, beware. Abbie, so what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you? And I know you got a QR code to share with us, and let me make sure that I've got it set up so that we can both share here. Give me a second.
Okay. Yes. LinkedIn, Abbie, Abbie. I can actually drop
Yeah, drop a link in there. I'll do the same. Give me a
my
second.
LinkedIn and this is our website. And LinkedIn I gotta pull up.
Yeah,
But it's
I'm gonna do the same.
and then I can share my QR code if you guys want to scan that as well, and we can we'll be happy to do a free PR audit.
Very cool. What a great offer.
Thank you.
What goes into that?
Oh, that's a good question. I've got to figure that out. No, we'll take a look at if you have any press coverage, your website, your niches, for example, and where we suggest you should be.
Yep, and Abbie, you shared your LinkedIn to just you and I.
Oh, okay.
So hit that drop down and select everyone in the chat.
All right. Can you see my
Got
QR
it.
code?
QR code is up. Yep.
Okay. I will leave it up for one more second.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. And then I will go back to the chat.
Very cool. Abbie, I want to say thank you so much for taking an hour out of your time and out of your day. And anybody who joined us today also, thank you. PR is a really important part of the process. And Abbie, you and I have to have a conversation about my PR.
Oh yeah, I can't
Because we're
wait.
not
That's
doing
gonna
we're
be
not doing
fun.
anything for me right now. And we're about 10 days out on launching a new website that we've been working on for too long. And yeah, I think that's probably an important conversation to have here very
Well,
soon.
I'm ready.
All right, very cool. We'll book it. Yeah, probably next week because the week after that is graduation week. And it seems like the amount of things that high school seniors have to do around
Oh,
graduation. In
that's
fact,
exciting.
when we wrap up here, like in 30 minutes, I got to be in the car parade.
Oh,
Oh
that is
yeah,
not something we have here
I
in New
don't know.
York.
Like they all the seniors decorate their cars and then go drive around and I think it happens at the school. I'm not sure. I'm going to be a passenger, but
That's so fun.
yeah. So
Well,
yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say we can also talk about it in Boca.
We can talk about it in Boca. Yeah. So anybody who's going to be at Edge, I know Abbie's going to be there. I'm still on the fence a little bit. That's June 9th through 11th in Boca Raton. Yep. Look us up if you're there. And we both dropped our LinkedIn in. So I'm super responsive to LinkedIn. So if we want to spend some time together, I'm more than happy to do that. And Abbie, you're awesome. I appreciate the work we do together. I'm
Thank
looking
you.
forward to doing something on my brand because we haven't done that yet. And yeah, this is great. Thank you for educating us all today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Charlie. And if you don't already work with Charlie, you got to reach out to him. He's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for that plug. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Awesome.
everyone.
Thank you very much. And we'll get the recording out probably tomorrow, if not tomorrow, by the end of the week.
You guys are
Uh,
fast.
yeah. Thanks again for everybody
Well,
who spent some time with us. Appreciate it.
thank you.